Let's talk about the automated backup system that's part of every Mac that's sold today. It's called Time Machine and very simple to use. What some people don't realize is you must have an external drive, or some external device at least, that will serve as the destination for your backups. The backup means it's a copy of your data, your most important data you don't want to lose, on a separate device. If you back up onto the same hard drive, for example, and the hard drive of course would be this area here, everything on your computer is on the hard drive, you can see here. If you back up to the same drive and that drive fails, well, you've put all your eggs in one basket and that's the end of that. So the first thing you want to do when you buy a Mac or any computer really is buy an external drive to go with it. One of our favorites is the orange LaCie rugged drive for a laptop, and then the G drive by G Technology. Now I've just plugged in a drive. I've already named this Time Machine, but what I want to do when I put in any new drive is reformat it so that I get a long life out of it. So the first thing we want to do is go into the Applications folder, and we're going to bring up a utility called the Disk Utility. Now in your Applications folder you have a folder called the Utilities folder, and in the sidebar, that's this first column in this window we see here, it's very much like the dock. You can put the applications, the folders, the documents you use most into this area. So we're going to put utilities here because it'll come in very handy for maintaining your Mac and keeping it happy. So we'll click on Utilities. In the Utilities folder then we find the Disk Utility, double click that. You have to use caution using this utility. You could wipe out your drive if you're not careful. So let me just caution you there. Here is the Time Machine drive. I've already named it so I know exactly which one I'm dealing with. You click on the actual disk that has this volume on it, and I'm going to repartition it, meaning I'm going to wipe anything that might be on it, make one new partition, and I'll call it Time Machine again, because Time Machine is the destination drive for my backup. Now click on the Options button here on the bottom, and make sure that when you format your brand new drive or old drive you want to use for this, that you select GUID partition table if it's an Intel Mac, a recent Mac. If it's an older Mac, it might be Apple partition map you'll have to see. You don't want to select master boot record unless you're going to be sharing the drive with a Windows machine that requires access to that drive. And if you read carefully, of course, you'll see that all of these differences here are explained, what you want them for. Alright, we'll click on OK. We'll click on Apply, and then we'll partition. Now notice, it warns you if you partition that drive, you're going to lose all of your data on that drive. That drive will be wiped clean. Certain software can be implemented to retrieve data that's been wiped, but it's not something you want to really, a road you want to choose. Let's hit partition. It's wiping out that drive. It's basically doing the equivalent of those large ice machines that go up and around the ice skating rinks when it melts the ice and makes it nice and smooth for the skaters again. That's basically what we've just done with this drive. Now you see that immediately the system says, do you want to use this drive to back up your Time Machine? I'm going to say don't use right now because I want to show you how to select it manually. Once that's complete, go ahead and get out of the Disk Utility. We'll be seeing the Disk Utility again for other maintenance needs. We'll close this. And now if you go to the top right of your screen, you'll find this clock with the anti-clockwise arrow going around. Click on Open Time Machine Preferences, and here you will select your backup disk. I wanted to show you this part manually in case you have multiple disks already attached to your computer. This gives you the option of choosing which disk you want to use. In our case we only have one external disk attached. I'll click on the Time Machine icon here. I'll click on Use for Backup, and it will start making a backup in just a few seconds. It says 120 seconds. Now once the backup starts, the first time you'll see a window pop up, and there it is, where it's indexing everything that's on your computer, and it's making a duplicate, a copy of everything that's on your hard drive, and putting it on this external drive here. Now remember, we can go into the Finder here. If we click on the Finder word at the top left, select Preferences, and then turn on, we check hard disks. we can see our own internal hard drive appear. And just below that is the Time Machine drive. Now some people don't like to have those icons there, so we can turn that off. We can also turn off external disks. Note that if you turn off CDs, DVDs, and iPods, if you put in a disk, it won't pop up automatically. You won't be able to see it on the desktop to double click it and get into it. I don't recommend turning off showing CDs, DVDs, and iPods. And also, in a similar fashion, I would not recommend turning off external disks, because if you turn off the external disk, you won't be able to see your Time Machine drive. Why might that be a problem? If you can't see the Time Machine drive and it fails on you, you may have a false sense of security and think that your Time Machine is currently working. This way, the first thing I look for on my computers when I first turn them on, I want to make sure that this drive, the Time Machine drive, is appearing, because if not, I know I have a problem. The other thing you can do is click up here and see when the last backup was made. Okay? And that's basically all you need to do. Sometimes your Time Machine drive will run into trouble. It'll stop working. It'll tell you the last backup you made was April 17th of last year. Hopefully not. You really want to check your Time Machine backup at least once a week, if not more often, to make sure that you have a backup. The thing about hard drives is, folks, it's not a matter of if it's going to fail. It's when it's going to fail. Hard drives are spinning usually either at 5,400 or 7,200 rates per minute, which means they're constantly spinning. They generate a lot of heat. They're already very compact. Many of us don't realize just how fragile they are. And they're like tires of a car. They wear out after 30,000 miles or so. So you want to make sure that you have a copy of your data either on a Time Machine drive, which is the simplest, easiest for you to use, or an online service. Perhaps you want to use MobileMe for a backup location. Now, MobileMe is a service by Apple that we'll get into on another video clip. You'll find it right here. You can sign up for a MobileMe account and then store up to 20 gigs of data online. That tends to be a very slow way of doing it and not really that easy to retrieve, not as easy at least as a Time Machine drive. So we generally recommend that every computer have a disk drive attached, an external drive that can be used by this wonderful built-in free system called Time Machine to retrieve your data should something go horribly wrong. Once you have your Time Machine backup, should your internal drive fail, you can actually use the Time Machine backup drive, the external drive, to restore everything that was on your computer along with the operating system disk. It takes a few steps, but if you have that drive, you won't lose your data. If you don't have that drive, you're going to be in trouble. Recovering data can be very expensive from a failed drive. You're looking at $2,500 and up in many instances, and sometimes it can't be recovered. So keep that in mind. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you have an external drive. We can't underscore that point enough. You have to have a backup of your data. Backup, backup, backup. We send out notices to our clients about once a month, reminding them to check their backup drive. It's that important.